parks can be quite dark. See this one? I pointed to the nearest. At first glance, it's a park scene by a duck pond, with people sitting on a bench. But if you look closer, they're clearly homeless, and one is drinking from a bottle. Never mind the artwork, Charlie said impatiently. His mischievous expression under his mop of dark curls was exactly the same one he'd worn when we were schoolboys, and he was plotting some prank that would get us into deep trouble. Nowadays, as an investigator and presenter for the long-running TV programme Dodgy Dealings, it was other people he dropped into the soup. We were in a similar line of business, though generally it was the big holiday company's shortcomings I exposed. There's Tabitha Coombs over by the archway, through to the other room. The tallest one who looks like Cher on a bad day, he added. At a guess, the woman was somewhere in her mid-30s. Her waist-length cocoa-brown hair worn loose with a fringe that framed her face and touched straight black brows. She had high cheekbones, a narrow aquiline nose, pale complexion and a generous mouth. She's quite striking, in a slightly witchy kind of way, I said. I was certain that the gallery was too crowded and noisy for her to have heard me, but something made her glance our way at that moment. Her gaze direct from eyes of a surprisingly light, almost lilac grey. Her friend, Kate, my informant, is the cute blonde with pink streaks in her hair standing next to her. Hardly a friend now she's blabbed to you, I suggested. Tabitha Coombs thinks she is. That's why she confided in her. But Kate says she and her husband were friends with Tabitha's fiancé, Jeremy, for years before they got engaged. And though they didn't much like her, they just had to put up with her. That's generous of him, I commented dryly. She said Tabitha was probably cheating on her fiancé with the owner of Champers and Chocks, as well as being involved in the scam. So maybe she's got some kind of axe to grind. But I don't really care what's driving her, so long as she's willing to introduce us. Then the rest is up to me. Before Kate had contacted him, Charlie had already had a tip-off from a disgruntled Champers and Chocks customer about cheap fizzy wine being sold for vintage champagne, so she had given him an easy way into his investigation. Never look a gift snitch in the mouth, I said. The two women parted company, and Kate slowly drifted across in our direction in a casual sort of way, talking to one or two people en route. When she reached us, Charlie introduced us. This is me friend Randal Hesketh. His family home is nearby, so I invited him along just for the ride. Randal, this is Kate. Pleased to meet you, Kate said, all flirty smiles and big pale blue eyes with fluttering eyelashes. I suppose she was pretty enough, but since she wasn't in the least my type, her flirting didn't have any effect on me. This seemed to disconcert her. Are you ready to introduce us to your friend? Charlie asked. She made a moo that looked so cutesy she'd probably practiced it in the mirror 1,000,000 times. As I've already said, she's not a friend. It was just that Luke and I had to tolerate her after she and Jeremy got engaged. But I always felt there was something wrong about her, and my instincts are usually right. Then let's get on and find out the truth, he said. Do you remember your story? About how we got talking and you found out I was a journalist for Lively Lancashire magazine, though I'd walked into the gallery by chance. Kate nodded. So I told you a bit about the artist and a day job as a packer in a warehouse, and then offered to introduce you. Got it, she said. She gave me another of those flirty glances. Are you coming too, Randal? No. I'll stay here, it's none of my business, I said, feeling a distaste for the whole Judas situation. I may be in a similar line of work, going undercover to get film footage for the independent TV programme I work for, Hellish Holidays, but it's more impersonal. See you later, I added to Charlie. I took a glass of water from the passing tray, since fizz wasn't my thing whatever it was labelled as, and surveyed the gallery. It was still crowded and buzzing, so the exhibition seemed to be a success.